Hi everyone. Today we are going through the Condition 2 menu from this book, The Egoscue Method of Health Through Motion by Pete Egoscue. Again, he started this method back in the 80s and 90s. This book was written in 1993, but believe it or not, it is still so relevant today, and even more so with our more technological and luxurious lifestyles where we don't have to do as many physical activities. So what does Condition 2 represent? And it is when we are uneven from right to left. So that could be rotated. So if my shoulder is coming forward, that's a rotation that could happen in my hips. It could be rotated one opposite to each other. It is also if your shoulders are up and down, one side up or the other side down. Same thing in our hips. So imbalance in the body could be that one knee is turned out and the other one's pointing forward. So many little differences we can have in our sides. So that's what this menu is targeting. Commonly, what I find today is people are typically either they're a Condition 1 or a Condition 3, which Condition 1 has to do with the more tilted forward pelvis, and Condition 3 is more tucked under, but likely they cross into the Condition 2 as well, having imbalance because we are very side dominant in what we do, and we drive our cars, that's imbalanced, just so many activities. So we're going to go through this menu today. Remember, as always, no pain with any exercise. If you're not used to exercising, important to have clearance from your doctor in order to do that. Be mindful, skip any exercises that don't work for you, or modify something if you need to. And again, there's a lot of therapists out there, including myself, that practice this method on a much more individualized method, so you can get help and get a personalized menu, but this is a fantastic way to start. Okay, so the first exercise in the Condition 2 menu is arm circles. I want you to start off with your feet parallel in hip width. And when I say hip width, I am talking about the center of the hip width down, not the outside of your hips. And then when we say parallel, we're talking about the outsides of your feet, so it's okay to feel a little pigeon-toed. When you do your hands, we're going to do the golfer's grip. You're going to bend at the first knuckle like this, thumbs pointed out, and we are back in our position. You're going to tighten your thighs, pull your shoulders back a little bit, and you're going to raise up your arms. Arm circles are going to go forward like this. I want you to watch how you're standing when I turn sideways. I want you to think about loading and making sure your hips aren't going forward. We're doing 40 of these, and you might feel a little different between your sides, especially based on this menu. Hopefully as you go, that will balance out. The diameter of the circles is about like a 6-inch dinner plate, and it is normal to feel kind of some motion through your hips. We are trying to stabilize through the center of our body while we're making some motion happen in our upper back and our shoulder blades. Okay, so that's about 40. We're gonna go the backwards direction, so check your feet. Golfer's grip, bend first knuckle, thumbs out. Flip your palms backwards, engage your shoulder blades, tighten your thighs, raise up your arms, and now you're gonna go backwards. And again, think about, is your head leaning forward or are your hips bailing forward? We really want our joints kind of stacked on top of each other. And we're going for about 40. You will find a little more tension and tightness going backwards likely than forwards. And again, just a reminder, no pain with any of these exercises. If you need to, skip it, or you could lower your arms if you had a shoulder issue and it was bothering you. Just don't work through any pain. A few more, and that will be about 40. Moving on. Okay, the next exercise is gravity drop. And in the book, he does it with a staircase and a railing. I'm going to show you with a step stool and a door jamb, or it could be a sturdy door handle. So you're going to step up on to your step, and you're going to have your foot about halfway, both feet halfway on the block and off. You want your rubber-soled shoes on to help protect your feet and make them more comfortable. So I'm holding onto the door jamb with my fingers, and I'm going to be mindful of stacking my joints, head, shoulders, hip, knee, ankle, and I'm going to drop my heels down. And I'm making sure that my feet are dropping evenly and that they're not turning out. Chin is level to the ground. Relax through your shoulders. You can add in some little shoulder blade squeezes. You can kind of play around with that with just the holding of the stretch or adding in the shoulder blade squeezes. And we might notice a difference in your calf tightness, and that is why your body tends to rotate if you feel such a strong imbalance. And with this, just hopefully as you go, they'll get a little bit more even and balanced. And we will hold this 1 to 3 minutes, and you will likely build up as you continue to do this menu and be able to be more comfortable with the 3 minutes. Moving on. Okay, next exercise to work through the condition 2 menu is downward dog. And so this is a different version than you might have seen in yoga. You're going to start in a hands and knees position, hip over knee and shoulder over wrist. And we are going to curl our toes under, and then we are going to push up from there. And I recommend bending your knees unless you're really flexible to get started. So I'm pushing back with my hands are nice and open, and I am going to try and roll forward in the front of my hips and engage that area. And notice how I'm straight in my back, I'm not rounding. And so what happens is as you go, you can straighten your knees or try and lower your heels. But if I start to lose my hip engagement, then that's as far as I can go. While you're here, it's a great place to practice nice deep inhales and breathing and really fill up your trunk with air as you breathe. We hold this for 30 seconds to a minute, and then we lower back down. Okay. Next exercise is runner stretch or modified runner stretch. So you can have a chair in front of you. I have a big block, and then I have some yoga blocks. So you have different ways you can modify based on your hamstring length and kind of where your body is at. So how we start this is we put one foot in front and we match up a heel to the other knee, leg is straight in the back. You're going to put your hands on whatever surface, and you're going to come up, flip that foot down, and you are going to try and level your hips here, and then you can go lower if you can. You can flip the blocks down, but you can kind of notice here I can say my back is a little bit longer, making sure I'm not tense in my upper shoulders. I'm tightening my thighs, weight on the inside of my feet, and really active with my feet as well. And you can hold this for a minute on each side. And when you go back down to switch, you're going to start over the same. So you're going to go back down, switch, and heel, knee, tuck under, and stand back up. Again, watching for the hips and nice long back. Or I could go lower. If you're super flexible, you can go to the ground. But again, you don't want to go further down and compromise your leveling of your hips and letting your hip come forward. That's not a good plan. In order to get even, you really need to watch what your hips are doing, tighten your thighs, activate your feet, and that's it. Moving on. Next exercise is the frog. So we're going to go ahead and lie on our back. And when you lie down, if you find that your head is tipping backwards, take a small towel, fold it, and put it under your head, because you don't want to be leaning back like that. So when you get in this position, you're going to put your arms out to the side about 45 degrees away from the body, palms up. you're going to put your feet together kind of like a sandwich, and then you just let your legs drop out. Your back does not have to touch the ground. It may or it may not. If your legs go all the way to the ground open, this is probably not an exercise you really need. You may notice that, especially with condition 2, you may notice one leg up higher than the other. Then this is definitely a good exercise as long as there is no pain, and hopefully with time you're going to be more balanced. This exercise you can stay in for about 1 minute to 2 minutes, and we just are going to breathe. Again, nice deep inhales and exhales, inhaling through your nose, and just let your body kind of respond to the position and balance things out. So we will move on from here. Supine groin stretch. So this exercise, you're going to need something like this. This is a big block. You could use a chair, you could use your ottoman, and then if the level isn't right for you, you can get a folded blanket or a pillow to help adjust. And for your other aspect of the exercise, you'll need a block like this, a box, like a shoe box, or I have a little hand weight, and you could use a soup can. So those are some options for getting into this exercise. So you're gonna get in, lying down, and one last prop would be a little towel. If you find you're tipping backwards, you could level with a towel under your head. But the down leg like this is kneecap to the ceiling, but it's just relaxed. So the reason for the little block in the weight is so that your leg can relax, but it's not gonna roll all the way out. Then this one, we want that 90-90, and if you're not hitting that angle right, then you would put something else underneath to help achieve that. And then you're gonna put your arms out to the side, about 45 degrees away from the body, palms up, and they stay there and relax. So now, once you're in this position, you are releasing the muscles a little bit between the inner thighs, the adductors, and the front of the hip. So we want to stay here. It's considered a prolonged stretch and hold, and so really nothing less than 5 minutes a side, and whatever you do on one side, you kind of want to match it to the other side. So when you get into this exercise, you're going to feel that your back is raised up off the floor, and that is likely if you are actually a condition 1. But if you're a condition 3 and you get in this, you may feel your back's already touching the ground. And either way, we're using this from the condition 2 perspective, so that is totally fine. Now, ways you can decide how long to stay in this. If you are condition 1 and you're arched up, you want to stay here until you really feel your back is on the floor. So that could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, up to 30 minutes, might go into 45 minutes, and it just depends on how much you're sitting. So now, if you're the opposite, you already get in and your back is touching the ground, another technique is you tighten your thigh, the down thigh, just kind of squeeze your thigh muscles, and you'll notice that the contraction is lower towards the knee. And then as you stay in here and you check it again at about 5 to 7 minutes, you'll notice that the contraction engages more of the upper leg. So as you stay in this longer, you will get to the point where your upper thigh is really engaging as well. And that's another way to measure that the exercise is doing what it needs to do. So great time to listen to a podcast or something. Keep yourself entertained. You can meditate here. Do want the amount that you do on one side, do on the other, but you're individually going to determine what your body needs with this exercise. It is a little bit time consuming, so sometimes you can keep it in the condition 2 menu, and other times you might skip it to make sure you can complete the menu. Again, remember, these menus should be done in order. So after I finish this side, I would then switch to my other side and do the matching amount of time. Next up is exercise 7 in the condition 2 menu, called the standing quad stretch. Now, people are going to be really varied in how tight they are in the front of their thigh, so I'm going to give you some options to modify. You could have a chair behind you. You can do this near your bed and have a chair in front of you. I'm going to use the wall for my hand support. So you start hip width apart, same way. feet pointing forward, and you're holding onto the wall, and you're going to bring your leg up onto the surface, the chair or bed, and you are going to put your weight so that it is even between the sides. And you also want to be very mindful that you're not kicking out. I'm going to show this from the front view, where you're not kicking out to the down leg. You want to bring that side in. If you wanted to go a little bit higher, you can use something like this, like a block or a box, to change your level on the chair. Now the added piece is we want to tuck our pelvis under. So when you get that, that's going to add a little bit of a stretch to it. So don't go so high that you have no room left for that tuck under. So I'm balancing my weight on my legs, relaxing in my upper shoulders, tucking under, and that's going to create more stretch in the front of that leg. Now I want both my knees, they're both down, they're not together, they're not close together. We just don't want anything popping out to the side like that. And this knee is not in front, so they're kind of in line and parallel, and you're just holding this stretch for about 45 seconds to a minute. And so I'm gonna go ahead and change sides. So again, I'm gonna reset my down foot. I'm gonna put this leg back up on, using my wall so I can balance my weight, watching that I don't kick out, pressing that hip in, trying to be stable, watching what my legs, actually I'm gonna move this back a little so that I'm nice and flat here across, and I'm tucking my pelvis under, chin is level, shoulder blades are relaxed, and I'm getting the stretch through the front of my leg. I felt like my foot was turned out, so I'm gonna fix that. So that's something you always wanna do with these exercises. Be mindful if your feet wanna turn out, and fix them in whatever position you're in. So again, 45 seconds to a minute on the second side, and then you are done. Next exercise in the Condition 2 menu is abdominals, also called wall crunches. So you're going to be close to a wall, have your mat, and you're going to lie down so that you are 90-90 with your feet on the wall. So that is 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here. And so first, feet again are that hip width, so thinking of the center of the hip down, feet are nice and parallel on the outsides of the feet. Once you get into this position, the legs are not doing that much. If you are engaging with your legs, then you're trying to use your hips instead. Again, remember this is somewhat of an abdominal exercise. You're going to clasp your hands like this and put it behind your head, right at eye level. And you're going to really pull your elbows back. So this is where this differs from a traditional crunch. You're going to look up and back on the ceiling. And then you are going to lift, looking up and back. And see how my elbows are sitting back? They're not coming forward. I'm not crunching forward. If I lose the eye contact on the back of the ceiling, then I've kind of lost what we're looking for here. So we're working on doing at least a set of 25, and then you can build to 2 sets of 25. And obviously, if it hurts in any way, modify, don't do it. And so as you're going, not only is this working a little bit in your abdominals, this is working in your upper back as well. So gravity is acting down upon us, evening things out, and we are getting some upper back motion and some abdominals. And again, I'm keeping my eyes looking up and back, and my elbows pulled out. And again, my feet are nice and even on the wall. And you would take a pause in between your sets, and then you would continue on with your second set. Again, resetting, pulling elbows back, looking up and backwards. And that is abdominals. Moving on. Next exercise is foot circles and point flexes. So you're going to go ahead and lie on your back, and you will bring one knee into your chest and put your hands underneath your knees. The down leg is going to be kneecap to the ceiling, And if you find it rolling out, I want you to correct that. And then you are going to be doing foot circles. We're going to be going out first, then we'll go in, and then we'll go point flexes. Now, what you're working towards is 40 out, 40 in, and 40 point flex, which is the newer version. But you can start with 20. Whatever you do one thing on one side, do the matching on the other, kind of pick the number and do the same number, and then slowly you can build up like 20, 25, or 30, and keep building from there as you continue to do this. Now, when you are doing the circles, I really want you to recruit the whole foot and ankle, the toes. You're going slow, making sure you hit as many muscles as you can, engaging. Notice that my shin is hopefully staying parallel to the ground. We're not letting it fly upward or pulling in too far down. So those are little things to be mindful of. Again, take that check-in. What's that down kneecap doing? Is it staying towards the ceiling? Relax your shoulders down. We're not trying to be up here. And so I'm going to go ahead and begin my inside circles. And again, you'll start with your count and you can build with this one. And you're going to feel a lot going on in this exercise. You feel work in the front of this hip. You're going to feel a lot of work in your shin. And then that down leg will have some work happening on that side as well. So it's kind of an interesting exercise that incorporates a lot of things that we need to help balance the body out and create more stability. And now I'm going to move into the point and flex. And typically you get pretty fatigued in here. Again, if you're not, then you need to up your count. That's pretty much, this one, pretty much you feel a burn going through. So I am going to go ahead and switch sides, and I'm going to reset. So now my right leg's the down leg, kneecap to the ceiling, hands under the knee, and relax my shoulders back, shin parallel. I'm going to begin my outside circles. You are going to possibly notice a difference between your feet and your sides, especially if you are conditioned to, and you might feel a little unstable or clicking in one and more coordinated on the other. Just notice those differences, and hopefully with time you will start to feel more even between your sides. So again, I'm trying to recruit all the muscles and really get the whole circle going. Notice where you have a sticky spot where you can't quite reach, and just try to take your time to reach through that. I'm going to go ahead and go inward now. So again, I feel my leg is rolling out, my down leg. I'm checking that kneecap to the ceiling, and eyes stay on the ceiling. Again, if you felt your head was tipping backwards, you can always put a little small folded towel under your head so that you're not having any tension in your neck or chest. And then I'm going to go to point flex as we round out the end of this exercise. And we are moving along in the condition 2 menu. Okay, moving on. Next up is the crocodile twist exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and lie on my back for this one, but I want to preface this first that I find this one to be particularly challenging for people. So really be mindful about using this exercise and make sure it feels right for you. If it aggravates anything, it's not the right thing for you at this time. So you're lying on your back, your legs are hip width apart, same thing as the other exercises where the center of your hip down is where we want to be. Feet are parallel. You're going to put your arms out to the side, palms down so they can engage a little bit. You are going to pick up one leg and drop that heel on the other toes. And notice I didn't bring my leg in. You don't want to do that. That's part of the alignment. And then I'm going to tighten my thighs and pull my feet back, and I'm going to rotate to the side. Now I think I do make that look a little easy. I've worked on this quite a bit, turning my head to the right. So don't be surprised if you find this hard. We're going to be holding this about a minute, and breathing. Really try and put some air through your upper side as you breathe. And again, you may need to build up on this exercise for how long you do it. And again, be mindful here, listen to your body, breathing, and then you roll back, reset. So my hands stay out, but reset my hip width apart. And that's where, again, so that leg's on the inside, you bring this heel over to this side, on top of the toes, and I tighten your thighs first, and toes pull back, and then rotate. Sometimes you feel this arm swings up, so I'm getting it back in alignment. I'm turning my head this way, breathing through this side, and holding. And again, sometimes when we rotate our body to both sides, if our body was turned a lot to one, it is amazing how it can balance something out. And a lot of times it's the twist in our body or the rotation in our body that is bringing on some of the discomfort or pain that we have. And we hold this for about a minute, and then we will come back. Moving into the next exercise, we stay here on the floor, but you're going to bend your knees into what we call the hook lying position. Feet are flat on the floor, and again, they are hip width apart. I'm going to show you a quick way. Put your feet together, and you can walk out your heels and then walk out your feet, and that helps you find that hip width apart center of the hip. Again, we are trying to keep them parallel. A little harder to see your feet here. So with the pelvic tilt, we're trying to make the motion happen right here. Now we are going to roll back where our back goes into the floor, and then we are going to roll forward. And so this will be an anterior pelvic tilt and a posterior pelvic tilt. And you're going to go back and forth. I'm going to move my arms so you can see. Only 10 times. Now, some people are going to, your condition 1 is going to find going back like this into the posterior position is going to be harder to find. And the condition 3 people may have a harder time rolling forward. Sometimes if you're just really flexible, you may be able to go either way, no problem. You're not lifting your butt up off the floor, but it is common for people to see a difference in these directions depending on your type of posture. And the idea is here, we are trying to get more balance. We've kind of rotated, and now we're bringing the body back together and trying to get that pelvis to move together. So we will move on. Next exercise is upper spinal floor twist. This is another one that I really want you to be mindful, make sure nothing's hurting when you do it. You're going to lie on your side, and you bend up your knees. So again, that 90-90 position. The key here is you kind of have an alligator hand with your hands to start. If you need to, you can put a little folded towel underneath your head if this is uncomfortable for you. You don't want to hold your head up. And so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your bottom hand and put it on your knees so that you can feel that they stay together. That is super important because we're stabilizing the lower half while we rotate the upper half of our body. And then we're going to bring this arm up in the air, and we're going to start to turn. You may find that you need to lift your head a little and reposition it, and you're going to open up. Now, this is where you look back and make sure the legs aren't separating, and you're going to open. Now, everybody's going to be a little bit different here. You might be starting here, you might be super flexible. You really just have to go where it's good for your body. Watch what's happening with your shoulder. If you need to lower the arm, you can. And this, especially with condition 2, you can do this for a minute, but really several minutes aside is okay. You can get the hand to the ground, but it's not a definite. So just work with your body. Don't work through any pain. You're just holding and breathing through this whole upper side of the body. Inhaling and filling that, and then exhaling. And you feel a nice drop. My head is turned towards this back side. So when you are finished with this exercise, you are going to be closing your arms back down so that you're safely getting out of this position. you can roll to the other side, or I'm going to flip around so you can see, and I'm going to now do the other side. So again, I'm getting into this nice bent position here. My feet are not tucked back. And if you find you can't, when you set your hands here to start and you can't reach this, then you want to pull your knees up a little bit more, and that will work. And then you raise up your arm, and again, this is staying nice and stable, and we are going to open up. And now you're going to notice possibly a difference between your sides, and maybe on the tighter side, spend an extra little bit of time on that side. And so again, I'm inhaling, exhaling, and just breathing, and through time you will open up more. And again, I'm going to do a check back and watch what's happening with my knees. And make sure you're just listening, modifying as needed, or skipping the exercise if it does not work for you. And then I close the hand back down, and I can get out of the exercise. So we'll move on from here. So we've reached the last exercise in the Condition 2 menu, the air bench. So this is a great exercise to bring everything together. So safety-wise, either you're on a yoga mat with bare feet, or you have sneakers on a non-slippery floor. So just be mindful that you don't slip downward, and you can use your hands to get out of the exercise. So you walk your feet out. We want to make sure that our knees are not jutting forward of our ankles. So you can kind of walk out till you find that good point. My knees are not collapsing in or collapsing out. I'm starting a timer. This is 1 to 3 minutes for this exercise. You press your back into the wall, and you put your weight through your heels of your feet. But your feet are nice and flat. We're not rolling out or in, but weight through the heels. So we're really taking the work out of our back and putting it into our legs. You can rest your arms on your legs or down by your side, whatever is comfortable. Your head may or may not touch the wall. We're definitely not forcing that. Where we want the work is more through our legs and pressing our back into the wall. Again, if you can't even do the minute, that's totally okay. Start with 20 or 30 seconds and build up from there. It's a great exercise and pulls things together at the end of all the other exercises. So I have made it so far about a minute, and so I challenge you to work on building up to your 3 minutes, but great job on working through this. So we have completed Condition 2 menu from the Egoscue Method of Health through Motion by Pete Egoscue. So that was 13 exercises, and some of the exercises were a little bit more challenging. So I hope you're listening to your body when doing these exercises, but likely afterwards you should feel more balanced and even. And if you have any questions or comments for me, go ahead and leave it, or you can email me or message me with any comments or questions.